Welcome to Chemistry 1, Unit 1, Lesson 1, Video 1. So we are in the note packet for matter from the packet that I gave you at the beginning of the year. So the first thing that I would like you to do is pause the video here in a second when I say pause, and I want you to brainstorm thoughts, ideas, whatever comes into your head when I say what is chemistry? So go ahead and pause for a minute or two and write down your thoughts and then restart the video. So hopefully you had a couple things listed here for chemistry. I imagine more than one of you said about things exploding. Maybe you have some examples of what chemistry involves. But if we look at exactly what chemistry is, it is the study of matter. That's in a nutshell. But we're going to expand that a little bit. So it's a study of the composition, so what is matter, the structure, so how is it arranged, and properties, how do we describe matter. So that's one part of it, the study of the composition, structure, and properties of matter, and the processes and energy involved with matter. So if we manipulate or change matter, what are those processes? How is energy involved to either force those processes or given off by conducting those processes? So in order to really start talking about properties of matter, we have to explain what is matter. If you remember from probably middle school, maybe 9th or 10th grade, when you talked about matter, matter is anything that has mass and volume. And volume means it takes up space. So it has to have mass. So light does not have a mass. Therefore, light is not matter. But your phone takes up space and has mass, so your phone is a piece of matter. But what is mass? Mass is nothing more than a measure of the amount of matter in something. So it's how much stuff is there. Usually we measure that in grams or kilograms. Volume is the amount of three-dimensional space an object occupies. So if you have a phone, we can measure the amount of space that the phone takes up by measuring its height, its length, and its width. And then we can use a formula. If it is a regular shape like this, if it's a solid and has an irregular shape, we could put it in water and measure how far the water goes up and then measure the volume of water that it displaces. If it's a liquid, we use a graduated cylinder to measure it. If it's a gas, that's a little bit more tricky, and we'll talk about that later. But mass and weight are not the same thing. Weight is defined as the effect of gravity on matter. And when we weigh ourselves at the doctor's office or on a scale at home, our measurement is in pounds. And that is a measurement of how forceful gravity is pushing down on our bodies towards the surface of the earth. So weight can change based on your location. So if I sent you to the moon doesn't have as much gravity, so you would not weigh as much, but your mass would stay the same. Because we're not changing how much stuff you're made out of, we're just changing the effect of gravity. The opposite is true if you go to Jupiter. Jupiter is has much more gravity than we do on Earth because Jupiter is so much bigger. you would actually weigh more on Jupiter than you do on Earth. The last thing that we're going to mention here is the term atom. Atom is the smallest unit of matter that still maintains the properties of that matter. So it's the smallest that we can get, and it still has the properties of a larger piece of that matter.